Hey crew, it's Chris Gilmore here, my buddy,
The Swamp Thing.
Caleb Musgrave. We're from thehuntersjourney.com and huntforgegrow.com, and today we've got a video for beginner and novice hunters on what our loadout is or our pack out is for when we go turkey hunting. So hopefully you'll get some tips from this video to help you out. So let's start off, we'll just go with clothing as our starting point here. I mean, the bare minimum is, camouflage. Deer, you can get away with not having camouflage. Turkey, it's pretty essential because they have great vision. Now, when I say camo, I don't necessarily mean you need fancy camo patterns with this. This is homemade stuff that Caleb made.
Yep.
But basically, I mean like earth tone clothing that just blends in and is kind of dull in the landscape. But let's chat about beyond just our basic camo. What are a few of the essentials for you for turkey hunting?
To me, I need to hide my face. I need to hide what I'm doing, whether I'm making calls, whether I'm trying to observe where my birds are moving, whether I'm getting my gun up, whether I'm moving my calls with my hands. So my hands and my face are the main things that I want to cover up. This is more than waterfowl. This is, like Chris said, more than like a deer or a moose. I'm a big fan of a simple mask with a hat. These masks can be really extravagant, or they can be plain bones like this one here, where it has a little bit of stuff on the outside to make it break up, but it's just mesh. The hat goes on top or underneath, and then I have gloves. I like personally, I like these mechanics gloves because they're not too warm. Turkey season gets warmer every single day as the season goes for the spring. So I don't want to be out there sweating and feeling like my hands are slipping and sliding in the gloves and getting all mucky and just being uncomfortable. I have to sit out here for many hours to try and get that turkey to come in. I don't want to be more uncomfortable than I have to be. So these and masks, gloves and masks are what I consider really essential for turkey hunting, even more so than everything else. Because I could be in a blind, but my face is still going to be out and my hands will be moving up with the firearm. So I need something that's going to break those up.
If you didn't want to invest in the camo gloves, another option would be just to use dirt and charcoal, obviously. You could come up with natural things or paints as well. I will just show my other one here. So Caleb has that cool headpiece there. I love just wearing my camo ball cap, and this thing is fantastic here. This is one of my favorite little pieces of gear. So it's got a little piece there that actually slips over top of the rim of my hat, and then pull it up there. And I can see perfectly through this, but it basically makes my face invisible there by breaking up the pattern. I throw my hood up, which now creates a shadow over top of that. And if I silhouette myself up against a tree behind me, basically go invisible there. So that's my basic setup. So I think that's about all that we'll say about clothing there. Anything you want to add to that?
The only thing I'd want to add is any other colors that you don't want. There are three primary colors that are like the law that you do not bring, and that is white, blue, and red. These are very bright colors that are found on the male turkeys that everyone's trying to shoot. So if you are worried about being chilly out there and you want to bring a blanket, it shouldn't be blue and white. It shouldn't be bright red. You don't want to bring a bandana with you or a headscarf of some sort that is going to be red, blue, or white, or a combination therein. You want basically as neutral colors as possible. As much as we want to think that being camouflage is dangerous, these are not the colors you want to be visible with. Blue, red, and white, out the window. Throw them out. Do not bring them with you.
Yeah, the next one we'll throw in there is, of course, your hunting tool. So beyond clothing, you need your firearm. And, you can bow hunt turkey depending on where you are. Certain states, certain provinces are going to have different rules, so check your local regulations for what you're allowed to do. Most people are hunting turkey with a shotgun because of a very small target. We're shooting at the head. A turkey's body is like body armor. So generally we're using a shotgun and we're shooting a headshot. Now the head on a turkey, quite small. The shot allows that to spread out as it travels, which makes it a much more likelihood of getting a lethal shot. So I'm a big fan of this right here, an 870 or a 12 gauge shotgun. You could also use a 410, you could use a 20 gauge, but you're basically gonna want a shotgun. And then the most common turkey load, I would say, is probably a number 4 shot, specifically made for turkey. And this is a traditional lead number 4 shot that most people use, but something that we're a big fan of, obviously, is sustainability in hunting and trying to push the envelope with making hunting more sustainable. And I know, Caleb, you're starting to use a non-lead shot now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm using almost exclusively tungsten. If you can get a hold of it, bismuth is great because it has the same weight and therefore the same kind of velocities as lead. And it's going to have the same kind of impacts as lead, but it's non-toxic. It's non-toxic to us, and it's non-toxic to scavengers that may come along and find the guts from when we gut our animal, field dress our animal, and find the viscera that we don't want to consume, like the intestines and certain parts of the stomach and crop. which may have shot in it. They can consume bismuth and not get sick. They can consume tungsten and not get sick.
And for the humans as well, because there's a lot of research starting to show that, when we fire these shots, you actually get little shards coming off our ammunition that can actually spread out quite a bit around the meat. And hunters that are hunting a lot with lead shot are probably actually consuming small doses of lead. And if you're doing that consistently over a long period of time, that adds up inside of your system.
Bioaccumulation. So I like carrying tungsten because it's a little bit heavier hitting than steel shot. It's about the same weight as lead, but it's actually harder metal, which means when it hits those bones, it fractures really rapidly and causes more damage to get that animal to die faster. I want to cause as much hemorrhaging as possible with my shot.
Cool. Let's chat about a couple of the other bells and whistles now. So that's the bare bone stuff. The other one I might throw in there is just your basic survival gear, and we won't go through that because that comes through in other videos. But, your first aid, your water bottle, all the standard stuff, compass. We won't get into that today.
Yep.
But a couple other perks for me this time of year. So one, a call is going to go a long ways turkey calling. We have a whole nother video on calling. Caleb and I were both using little pot calls today, or sometimes called slate calls. There's box calls, there's mouth calls, but a call is a really good thing to invest in. You also might want to think about doing decoys. So here is a Jake, so a male turkey. Yeah, decoy can be really handy when you're turkey hunting for kind of bringing them in. Another cool thing about a decoy is I can lay it at my 35-yard mark, which is about my ideal shot. I don't really want to shoot any further than that. I don't want to shoot too much closer. So if I know, let's say I put my Jake somewhere between 25 and 35 yards, I know if I have a bird within 10 yards of it, that's going to pattern really well with my shotgun. So that's another advantage of having a decoy beyond using it to actually call a bird in. Let's see, what else do I have here? Something that I love just as a little perk here. I carry this little bum pad or back pad, and I've got a carabiner there. And the carabiner's metal, so there's shine off of it. So I actually just took a little bit of camo hockey tape and wrapped it around there to get rid of the shine. Because I have the carabiner on it, I can literally clip it to the back belt buckle off of my pants, and then it's just walking around with me, and then I can sit on it, or if I'm laying against a tree for a long time, I can lay up against a tree. So that's a piece that I really like right there that I bring along with me.
Definitely, it's a great idea.
You got any other bonus ones for us?
For me, the two that are the most important for me is a flashlight. First and foremost, I always want to have a flashlight with me. We are coming out here preferably well before first light. We want to be out here well before that red and orange begins on the horizon to get all of our decoys set up and get ourselves perfectly set up. And therefore, I need to be able to see what I'm doing. I like to have rechargeable flashlights, especially these headlamps from BioLite. They're extremely light, so I kind of can forget that they're there. And they fit really, because of how small they are, they fit into my bino pack. So I like that option. The other thing that I always want to have with me when it comes down to being out here is actually, it sounds silly, but my phone. I need to be able to communicate with Chris because he may not be hunting with me. I don't want to be using a radio that's going to be blasting all over the place and everyone's going to hear. Sure, we can have headpieces. Texts are quiet as long as he turns his notification sounds off. So we could be texting. I could be sending him specific locations of where I am. He may say, hey, I need you to move to this spot. I'm hearing them gobble, but you're closer. Can you get over here? And he can send me a pin. Technology should not be frowned upon. This can help keep us safe out here while also being able to be more successful. So this is something I really do appreciate having.
Cool. Caleb kind of mentioned it there, although we didn't talk about it specifically. He talked about putting something in it, but a pair of optics is really, really helpful. So I've got just this little small pair of Vortex one here. Caleb has a bigger pair. What did you say? Those are
8x42s.
8x42s.
I'm a big fan of the 8x42 for most of the Eastern North America. If you're in Western North America, you can check out the 10x42s, but in the Eastern parts, I would recommend 8x42. We don't need big, wide views. In fact, it can get really confusing when you're trying to zoom in on something close. So
yeah, but super helpful from the stand, or just when you're cruising around scouting, just be able to skim off in the distance there to say, oh, is that actually a turkey in that shadow on the hedgerow over there? Or is that just a stump or a rock, you know? Mm-hmm. Or if you're looking deep in the brush, something moving around, really helpful. I also use ear protection. I'm a big fan of that. So I have a little thing so I have a 2-layer ear protection system. So I have some little ear buds that I stick in my ear, which provides some protection. And if a shot comes on really quickly, what I like about the earbuds is I can still hear a turkey gobble. I can still hear things moving around. I can still have a conversation. They're not perfect protection, but it's better than nothing. Mm-hmm. And if a shot comes in quick, then I'll just take my shot with these in. But I also bring a pair of ear muffs that I usually kind of keep on the back of my head here. And if I have the opportunity to kind of slip up, so I'll have my hood over top there, kind of hiding them in. And if I have the opportunity to slide in there and slide them down, I'll do that just to protect my ears when the shot goes up. I also am a big fan with tick populations increasing. I carry a little can of DEET with me now. If I was in the States, I'd be carrying permethrin, which I think is actually a better option for ticks. But I am carrying DEET with me. I don't love using chemicals. I actually hardly ever use DEET for mosquitoes. But if I'm going to be sitting all day in an area where there is a known tick population, as somebody that actually had a battle with Lyme disease, I would way rather take the small risk of DEET exposure myself personally than risk getting Lyme disease again.
I'm in full agreement on that.
Anything else you want to add to that? I mean, that covers most of my main pieces. Sorry. Let's just chat about this.
Yes, that's what I was just looking for.
Yeah, you wanted to chat about that.
I like to bring the main thing out of everything else that I can put in my pack is a very small packable net. That's camouflage. That way, if I find myself outside of my actual permanent blind, because I'm hearing them, well over a kilometer away, they're not near where I think I should be. I need to get over there. I can make an impromptu blind closer to them and still have myself disguised. I've actually had a situation where I was out in an orange jacket cutting wood, had my firearm in the vehicle with us while we were cutting wood, heard a tom gobbling, and literally took one of these nets and toga wrapped myself and got closer. And I didn't get the shot, but he didn't see me. It was simply because he was on the other side of a pond and I didn't want to go all the way around. This was perfect camouflage to the point that my buddy lost me and I was wearing orange underneath it. So these things can be very versatile. You can set them up as a lean-to, you can make a little art shelter if you need to, or just make a little wall fence kind of thing. So they're great. Hopefully you found this video helpful and interesting. If you want to find out more about hunting, foraging, all those kinds of amazing things about food, you can check out huntforagegrow.com. And if you want to learn more and increase your success rate as a hunter, check out thehuntersjourney.com. There's an online community and everything else waiting for you.
Let's go.